Everybody loves to talk about themselves. Why is that so important? Because when you ask people questions, they love to give answers about themselves. So I'm suggesting here in this whole area of what is different about how we approach or how we think about life and things from a Christian point of view, that asking questions is hugely important. In the last video, we talked about worldview questions and how those are ubiquitous. They're across the earth. Everybody asks these kinds of things. But in this case, I wanted to suggest to us that asking questions is one of the greatest ways to communicate the gospel. Why is that? Because you can never be wrong asking a question. Simply by asking a question, you're showing naivete, you're showing acceptance, you're showing honesty, and often humility. You're considered to be a great conversationalist when you ask questions. Why? Because you're allowing the other person to talk about themselves and about what's important to them. I think it's the best way to communicate the gospel. Outside of stories, I think that Jesus' main way that he communicated about the gospel was through questions. Stories and questions are the main ways that Jesus communicates the gospel message. Now, I'd like to suggest one particular passage, and it's one that's, well, I have so many favorite passages, but here's one that suggests this very idea where Jesus asks a question when indeed people wanted real answers. So here it is, Luke chapter 13. It says, "There were some present at that very time who told him about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices." So here's the Roman prefect, the guy who's in charge of that particular area. And he's actually killed some Jewish people and mingled their blood with that of the sacrifices. Of course, this would be anathema to the Jews. And when they asked this question, notice what he said. He answered them, "Do you think that these Galileans were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffered in this way?" Wow. That's not at all what they expected. It's not at all what they wanted him to say. Why is that so powerful? Why is that so important? Because by asking questions of somebody, you force them to think. One of the things my students have always hated about me is that I forced them to think, and they would leave class and they would say, "You made my head hurt today." And I would always respond the same way. I would say, "Good. That means that you're thinking." That's crucial and important. Asking questions, Jesus' famous questions throughout Scripture. I just read one from the beginning of Luke chapter 13. Understand how important that is, that when somebody gives you a situation, they ask you a question. To respond with a question makes them think about it themselves. I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to consider what the answer might be.